And now it says, welcome to Fletcher Free Makers. And this is our Tinkercad classroom. It asks you to type your nickname, and ours is Prism11. And you see that it says something goes wrong. Now this message comes up if you try and access Tinkercad before we've had a chance to add you to the classroom. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. While you're not able to access the Tinkercad classroom until we give you access, you are able to explore some of their educational materials. So you're able to see some information about printing, which could give you a good start while you're waiting to get the access. And I'm just going to try and log in again now that we have access. And this is what you'll see. This is our dashboard. And on the left-hand side, we see 3D designs, some other more advanced options that you can explore on your own, but we're not really going to cover right now. Lessons, and an option to create a project. I could go in and create a project, and I will, but first I'm going to show you some lessons, which are really useful. Over on the right-hand side, we have an option that says Learn, right next to Blog and Teach here. We're going to click on Learn. And we see some starters. This is some projects that will help you just kind of get the first beginning start, get started with Tinkercad. Then we see lessons, and this gives you projects that help teach you specific skills within Tinkercad. And then some suggested projects that they have that are very specific, like an introduction to 3D shapes, that kind of thing. This is a really good way to get a good feel for how Tinkercad works overall, if you have a little bit more time especially. And as I mentioned, it saves it to your dashboard so you can see what you've been working on. It's under lessons here. I haven't started any, so there aren't any listed here. But I'm going to go to create a project. So I'm going to click create project. And you can see it doesn't open up the project. It will just create it right here on the screen. So I'm going to click on project 1 here and create a 3D design. And if you've used 3D design programs, this was going to look really familiar and probably be much easier to use right off the bat. If you are not familiar, but have had a little design experience, this might be okay to learn. You know, you might want to explore some of the lessons. And if you're new to design, I would definitely check out the lessons. And we also have some links to, there's some keyboard shortcuts that they've recommended, and those are really useful as well. But the lessons are going to be really helpful there to you. I'm just going to give you a very brief overview and not really go into any of the major features here because, again, it will take some time and lessons are probably the best bet here. But this is our work plane. And when we print at the library, we, again, have a specific size work plane. It doesn't matter the size, even though there's a grid. You can just click and drag and have fun with it. And I would encourage you to explore that. I'm going to add a box. So you can click and drag. I could also double click, or I believe click as well. There's all kinds of options here, but the ones to be most familiar with are these little arrows and the squares. You can see that we've got an axis we can rotate on. And of course it's 3-dimensional, so we have different ways that we can move. And depending on what computer you have, the shortcuts might be slightly different if you're on a PC or a Mac. And the best way, again, is just to play around with it and check out those shortcuts they give you. But this is an idea of those basics. I can zoom in, I can see different things like that. I'm going to delete this shape, and then I'm going to go over to the side and just show you some other things they have ready to go. They have circuits, they have printables from the Smithsonian, and you can also browse some projects that people have already made and have made available for anyone to print. So you can explore that way as well. So very few limitations here, but if you're wanting to create, a good way to do it is to sort of browse around these, there's characters, text, and numbers, and get an idea of what you can make, because you can combine different shapes together, different objects rather, to create some pretty great things. This is just a very, again, basic Tinkercad, so I'm not going to go any further. If we weren't doing a video version of this, I would ask for questions at this point, but if you do have questions, you can always email us. So that's a little bit about that.